Hi, everybody. I'm Morgan Rutherford from the Colorado Agave Collective, and I am here today with John Melvin from Montagave. Welcome.
Hey, Morgan. Good to see you here in Colorado. And Ryan, who's behind camera, good to see you, man. This is awesome. Always happy to be back here in Colorado and the birthplace of Montagave. So excited to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I totally love the origin story of Montagave, and I would love it if you would dive into that.
Yeah, for sure. So going back almost on 8 years, I met my wife, Lucy, here in Colorado at a Belly Up show in Aspen. And it was a reggae jam band show. It was a band coming up from Boulder, and met her, and she was actually just visiting in town for the weekend. And we kind of kept that relationship up, and a year and a half later we were engaged and planning our big wedding. And with me being from Texas and Lucy being from France, we knew that we were going to need to bring some tequila over to our French wedding celebration over there. And so we were trying to figure out how that would go, because at the time when we would go over to France, there wouldn't be many great tequilas over there. There's tequila ocho, but everything else was kind of mixto. And my favorite juice still is Cascahuin and Nom 1123. And so we were trying to figure out a way to get that tequila over there. And kind of in that process, we had this idea to source a French oak wine cask and rest our tequila in that, and then serve that at the wedding and kind of give it away as gifts and those things for the guests that were attending. And we had a big Texas contingent that was coming over from Texas, so we knew that we needed the tequila. And so that kind of sent us down this path trying to figure out how this would go. And what we did was actually source a silver oak cask from, it was a Napa Cabernet producer, picked it up in Vail and brought it back to our living room in Aspen, and bought pretty much all of the Cascahuin that existed in Colorado at the time, and filled that in the barrel. And only filled it about half because that was all the juice that was available.
Sure.
But yeah, 6 months later, we pulled it, bottled it, muled it over to our party over in France, and crowd went wild there. And people were like, wow, this is so cool and unique. And this is an amazing representation of you guys coming together. It's a really cool deal. And so we were kind of excited about the project and kept making a few batches. And by the third batch, we thought that we had something that was kind of interesting. And so we reached out to Java and said, hey, man, we've been messing around a little bit with your juice, and we think that there's something interesting here. We'd love to come down and visit with you about this. He said, yeah, come on down. And so we went down to 1123, Lucy and I, and we went down and had an amazing day tasting with him and his father and the rest of his family. And we brought bottles of Sauternes and other fun stuff to kind of introduce them to some of the ideas that we're thinking about. And they really liked the concept of kind of exploring this new barrel program, because at the time, 99.9% of tequila was ex-bourbon and American oak, right? So if you got into a rested tequila, there would be those flavors of like caramel and baking spice, which are flavors that we love, but they would be very similar to one another. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that we knew was that you could source absolutely incredible casks from all over the world, from really amazing producers of wine and fortified wine and other things like that, that could introduce other flavors into this world of agave.
Yeah, so you stepped out of a big niche there.
Right,
and
exactly.
Did your own thing.
Yeah, exactly. So that was kind of our pitch to Java, was you guys are making what we see as the best juice in the world, and we'd like to pair that with the best casks that we can possibly find in the world. And so he was like, yeah, let's do it. And at that point we were like, really? And he said yeah. And so we found ourselves in the tequila business, and it's been an amazing ride so far. That was about 5 years ago that we had the conversation, and now we've had a few different releases, and this one most recently, the Volume 2 Exploration, which is in some of those Sauternes casks, which is really exciting. So it's been great.
Well, I can't wait to get to that. But so this basically represents where you started.
That's right.
And this is now considered your heritage line,
That's
right?
Yeah.
But you've clearly branched out a little bit. So why don't you kind of walk through that process?
Sure. Yeah, for sure. So we started our like batch one heritage flagship product was based off of the product that we made for our wedding. And so that was Grand Cru Bordeaux casks that we sourced from some really incredible producers over there. These batches are using Château Pape Clément, cask from the left bank of Bordeaux, is Cabernet Sauvignon dominant, but they do a really great job, and they've been doing a great job for about 700 years.
Right.
So a fairly storied producer over there that's been doing a great job. And so we were really excited to be able to source some of those casks. And so that really what we're trying to do is give a kiss of these casks, right? You introduce some things like red berry fruit and stone fruit and floral aromatic as well, but you still have the agave coming in full force. And working with Cascahuin in 1123 is just an amazing blessing, and you never want to overwhelm that with barrel. And so it's a constant kind of dance that you always want to make sure that we're expressing the agave in its full capacity, but can introduce some other flavors and kind of a new perspective with the barrel program. So yeah, so that's where we are now. We're on batch 5 of that and still using the Château Pape Clément casks. Got a bunch more casks that are coming over here in the next few weeks, which is exciting. And
that's very exciting.
Yeah, we've been able to source some other fun stuff in the process. So
very cool.
We'll be able to get in that. And then this Las Rocas, this was a fun deal that we started working on a handful of years ago. And the idea there was we wanted to produce a more traditional Blanco, but we wanted to do something that was still in line with the intent of our brand, which is always to explore these flavor frontiers and try to do things a little bit unique and try to borrow some techniques that might be used in the wine world or in other worlds of spirit and winemaking that are perhaps non-traditional to tequila, but could elevate it in some different ways. And so we were looking at one of my favorite regions and wine regions in the world, which is Côte d'Aron, and their use of concrete for fermentation and for resting, and how that allows microoxygenation and kind of the porous nature of that. But also pH starts to creep up because the pH of the concrete is more alkaline, whereas wine or anything that you put in it that's spirit-based or wine-based would be more acidic. So you get kind of a better mouthfeel out of that and starts to unlock some minerality, and really like that idea, but we had no idea if it was going to work. And so we went down this path of R&D, and we're able to source some concrete blocks basically that we put Cascahuin Blanco in these concrete blocks and rested it there, and basically just like pulled it, tasted it, took the pH, did all of that for 3 or 4 months. And we found that there was really it was a balancing act again, which was, the pH would start to climb, and then it would almost go parabolic. It would go like exponential at some point. And at that point, it would lose some of the volatile compounds that made tequila. So you would lose some of the esters and the nose and some of these other things that were really amazing if you took it too long. But if you took it just a little bit, you would actually create improved mouthfeel and maybe some other layers of minerality. And you got some other aspects that were working that were, it was minerality squared almost, right? It was a little bit of an influence there that we really love. So we decided to build this 5-ton, 10-foot tall concrete egg in Sonoma, California, and then shipped it down to the distillery, and that was a crazy project in and of itself.
I bet.
But we were able to get it down to the distillery, and the team at Cascahuin, they opened the garage doors. We moved it just inside, and they closed the garage doors and didn't move it any further because this thing was an absolute beast. And so we got it in there and produced our first batch of Las Rocas that we've really enjoyed. So this is concrete fermented and then concrete rested for 4 weeks. Bottled at 45%. So 90 proof, but it drinks a lot less than that because of that softer mouthfeel. It plays really well into some cocktails as well, if that's something that you want to do. But this is totally a sipper in a more traditional sense, given the color, Blanco, all of that.
Definitely.
And then, moving into kind of the exploration releases that we've done, so from the get-go, we wanted to explore these flavor frontiers that were available to us in the world of tequila, but do it at this level that was extremely high quality. And so working with Chava, we kind of set our sights on some different casks and a program that would allow us to explore those flavors. And so this one is actually using those Grand Cru Bordeaux casks for 13 months. And that was our volume 1 release. And, tasted it along its journey. And sometimes it was tight and kind of falling flat. Sometimes it was really expressive. And at 13 months, we were really just blown away by the amount of like stone fruit, dried stone fruit, kind of candied elements that you got there, but still the expression of agave. That was really beautiful. And so that was a little 4-barrel blend. And then, we move on to this volume 2 that brought here today. This one, this is our newest release that we're really excited about. And that was 34 months in Sauternes casks that we had rested. And so those Sauternes casks we had brought over in that first shipment, when we first started the brand. And we put some tequila in there, around 45% alcohol, and just let it go and try to see what it would do. And it was absolutely beautiful at a reposado. And then it went in a completely different direction when it was an añejo. And there were some reactions that were going on that made it more malolactic and briny and kind of cheesy and funky. And there were some different things going on. And then completely switched course. In around 30 months, it came back, and it's been more fruit forward and baking spice and citrus and honey and integrated and velvety mouthfeel. And we were really excited about it. And it was 2 months away from being an extra añejo, but our entire program is about maximizing flavor, and we're really designation agnostic, right? So we don't care if it's a reposado or añejo or extra añejo. We just care about the flavors. And so at 34 months, we said, this is magic. We're going to bottle it.
Yeah.
And so here we are. Yeah.
I love it.
Shall we get into it?
Absolutely. I would love to taste this.
All right, perfect.
And I love hearing just how willing you are as a brand to try something that may not work, but you have, an educated theory, and you go with it and look at the results. This is so cool.
Yeah, really fun for sure. It's definitely a little bit nerve-wracking. We when we set out to do this, cheers, by the way.
Cheers.
So when we set out to do this, we had a thesis, right? Which was, we had some flavor ideas that we thought would work with this roasted agave, but really just takes doing it to know.
Yeah.
And so, we're really excited about this, but we have other fun barrels that we have laying down. We've been able to source some sherry casks and some port casks and some Armand Rousseau Burgundy casks, crazy cool producers.
Yeah.
Making some really, geeky fun stuff that we're geeks about too. So it's been amazing to be able to work with amazing producers from all over the world to source some really amazing casks that can pair really beautifully with the base juice.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you guys are willing to keep exploring. This is awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. So